What is up, everybody? The Accurate Zach is back here with a review. That's right, I'm going to talk about Doom 2016. Now, it's important to note that this is my very first Doom game played, which is crazy considering it is 2020 and there have been so many fantastic Doom games released, but I've missed all of them, every single one of them. When I was younger, I was very sensitive to sort of demonic and hateful and gory things, and I know my parents, I'd go to Blockbuster and rent games a lot, and I remember seeing Doom 64 on the shelves, and I didn't want anything to do with it, and I know for a fact that there's no way in hell my mom would let me take that game home. So here I am, all grown up, bearded, and happy with my first Doom game. And let me say that it beat up my expectations, which it says a lot considering the major effect, the rippling that the Doom series has had on the first-person shooter genre. Going in, I expected to kill ugly things with guns. I thought that was pretty much going to be it, but what was delivered to me was so much more. The playability it's accessible in a way, but it's a game that requires conscious effort. I'm saying you can't just lackadaisically wander your way through killing these hordes of demons. You have to be coherent. You have to be constantly moving. You have to be aware of spacing. But it's a game that, while accessible to anybody who has any experience with first-person shooters, it's not brain dead. You need to be there in the moment, ready with your guns ablazing. The Doom guy as a character is awesome. First of all, just these unheralded badass, foretold of prophecy, the prophecies. When you're in the hell levels, you can run into these prophecies, and like Satan himself is reading about how terrified the demons are of this Doomslayer that's coming in and destroying them in their own world. And I find that particular aspect of it fascinating. I'm not by any means a Doom lore aficionado, not an expert, but the fact that these demons are characterized, these ugly bastards are characterized, and they have personalities, and they fear this Doomslayer as much, if not more, than we ourselves as humans would fear a demon sitting 6 feet away from me. I mean, if there was a big pus-filling horned monstrosity just out of sight or just within my viewpoint, I would be crying. And that's how the demons basically reacted to this Doom fella. It's like, holy crap, we need to kill this guy or he is going to ruin us. Outside of just being this absolute badass, the Doom guy doesn't really have much of a personality, but really, do you actually need a personality when your job is to just slay everything in front of you? No, not really, you don't. So talking about the demons and the fact that they have characterization, their designs are haunting. Whether it's just the little imps, you know, the little imps, the basic enemies, the derp enemies, they look neat. They throw fireballs and they have big claws. But as you move on up and get further in the game, you meet summoners. You meet the cyber demons, which are just these grotesque, just obese monsters with rocket launchers and huge jowls and pus-filled stomachs. If you go into their little descriptions, it tells you how their stomachs are full of this corrosive acid. It's just like, ew. So many levels of ew. You have the Barons of Hell. You have the I don't remember what they're called off the top of my head, the skull guys with the horns, and they scream like, ah! And then they fly at you. Those things suck. I hate them. There's a wide variety of demon designs in here, and they have different weaknesses pertaining to your vast array of Doom guy weapons. You've got your plasma rifle, your assault rifle, your Gauss cannon, which is unbelievably powerful and absolutely my favorite weapon in the game. We'll talk about the weapons here in just a second. But these demons, they all have particular weaknesses to these weapons. And I like that there is a certain layer of strategy to this game, and that is otherwise missing in typical first-person shooters. You pick a gun, you shoot things with it, they die. It doesn't really matter what you're using, when you're using it. It can be effective. And in a game like Doom, it's not so much the case. You need to sort of strategize around, okay, I'm facing this demon. What is he weak to? I better pull it out. I better make sure I have ammo for it. If I don't, I need to pull out my chainsaw, saw a demon in half, and refill my ammo. Which leads me into my next point is I love this momentum-based combat that they're going for in Doom. It's like you as you successfully navigate and destroy these demons, you are rewarded with ammo and health, and that's a great way to keep the player motivated, and a great way to keep the player alive and moving. Which, moving into the guns, they're also fun to use. I had great success early on in the game with the rocket launcher. I was shocked how quickly you acquired a rocket launcher, and as a result, I ended up upgrading that first, and it was just a blast. And with the little modifications that you can add onto the items, it added, again, another layer of depth where, you know, what do I want my playstyle to be? What weapons do I want to focus on? What demons am I seeing the most that have weaknesses to these weapons that I love? So it was a pretty easy choice for me to get the homing beads from the missile launcher. You equip it and it shoots out like 3 rockets. It's a short lock on. When you lock onto the demon, it bursts 3 rockets out and boom, 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 it hits it, and usually it takes them out. I was very effective early game and pretty much throughout the entirety of the game for most demon types. For the most part, I think the weapons were a little balanced, although, again, the Gauss cannon was just a game changer. When you get that, there's really no fear to be had, at least not for me. Now, granted, I played, I believe it was on hard mode. I didn't go any higher than that because it was called, like, You Don't Want to Do This was essentially the title. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to you. You know best, game. So I didn't touch that. The Gauss cannon was my absolute get out of jail free card. If I needed something dead, that's what I used. Again, the rocket launcher, I like the assault rifle, but that didn't hit its peak until really late in the game and even wrapping around into new game where I was just kind of mission selecting. Again, the weapons are mostly balanced, but there were definitely weapons that had more oomph and ass to them that were definitely more easily relied upon than some of the other smaller arms. There were a couple of boss fights in the game. There's the final boss, and then there were 2 other boss fights preceding it. They were okay. I didn't find the same satisfaction of defeating them that I would in, say, a Dark Souls or a Bloodborne or Sekiro. Any FromSoft game, that satisfaction wasn't really there. They lacked epicness. They lacked a certain measure of difficulty because, again, all I had to do was just use rockets and grenades and Gauss cannons, and they folded relatively easily. Not to say that they were bad. They just lacked that boss fight, grabbing by the horns, and oomph. They didn't have that oomph. They didn't have the flavor that I would want out of a boss fight. Moving away from the combat aspect of the game a little bit, I just want to say that I loved the RPG, the upgrade mechanics. We'll talk about the weapons just a little bit. I know I said get away from the combat, but let me make a point about the weapons. Is I touched upon it briefly before. You have a choice between certain attachments to your weapons, and that was a lot of fun to sort of decide which one I wanted to go with upon finding the item necessary in each different level to be able to purchase the next upgrade. It was fun to decide which weapon I've been using and what direction I want to take it. There was usually an option that was very easily the preferable of the 2. That's not necessarily a complaint, but just pointing it out. Upgrading the Praetor suit was a joy to be had again. You can find the items strewn across all of the different levels, and when you find it, you can choose to upgrade your health, your armor, or your ammo, which my first 2 upgrades that I chose were ammo, because I figured I'm not dying a lot. I just want to make sure I can still dispense as much death as I need to continue not dying. And when you get the ammo upgrade, not only do you have more firepower, but your chainsaw receives a buff as well. It's like the chainsaw is huge because, again, that's a delete button and it gives you all of your ammo back. Along with the health, armor, and ammo upgrades, you can also upgrade your Praetor suit in another menu. Usually it had environmental resistances, equipment buffs, just all kinds of different things that you can use to make your life a little bit easier. There's also a grouping for like the treasure hunting, which would help you find more items to continue upgrading your suit, as well as the different secrets and whatnot throughout the levels. Very fun. I always looked forward to finding another chip so I can choose my next upgrade. And it was one of those things that kept me going, kept me playing far beyond finishing the campaign, because I wanted to complete the suit. I wanted to throw myself back into the demonic hordes, even beefed up than before. That's an aspect that I really appreciated in a first-person shooter game. Speaking of that, something that really came out of left field for me in Doom that I was not expecting whatsoever was how good the level design was. The levels weren't beautiful to look at. Your options were basically space station, a doomed version of the space station, or some area in hell. So there wasn't a lot of variation in the level design. The assets were very similar throughout. It's like you see gore, you see broken machines, gore, more gore, a gore nest, not a lot of sightseeing. With that being said, it still looked fine. It looked great. It looked sinister. But the real kicker with the level design is the platforming. The platforming was actually very satisfying. And beyond that, I think this is a staple in previous Doom games. I don't know if that's a fact or not. So please fact check me on this. But there are secret areas that you can find throughout the levels. They were generally very well hidden. You had to go out of your way. You had to have an eye for detail. You had to really keep those peepers peep to try to find these locations. And these locations would lead to little Easter eggs, like little classic Doom levels here and there, or a little bobblehead of your Praetor suit with a different skin, a different color. So there's a lot of joy to be had within the levels beyond just shooting up the demons, which, again, that's not something I expected to have right alongside those really cool RPG mechanics. So that's what I mean when the game definitely blew up my expectation. I thought I was just gonna be shooting demons and that's about it. No, I was traversing levels, looking for secrets, finding secrets, and having a hell of a good time doing it. One other thing that absolutely warrants a mention is this game is the soundtrack composed by Mick Gordon. He's an Australian composer. He's put a lot of soundtracks together in video games, and holy crap, it drives so hard. It's so good. And I'm a metal fan, but I'm not a huge metal fan. I have delicate sensibilities. Metal sometimes scares me away a little bit. This did not. It kept me right in. It grabbed me by the chest and pulled me in and shredded my face off. It was exhilarating to be in these demonic fights and having Mick Gordon just shredding away behind me, cheering on the Doom guy with his axe of fire and flames. It was brilliant. It was fun to listen to, and I've actually listened to it in my own time outside of the game, and it's really good. And if there's anything that I'm looking forward to in Doom Eternal, it's just to hear what else Mick Gordon has in store for us in the audio department. Beyond the music, the sound design was also very good, between just the noises that the demons makes, the bone crunching and the flesh rending sounds that the Doom guy exerts upon the demons when he grabs them by the throat and rips their tooth out and punches him in the face with their own tooth, or headbutts him in the chest. It's ridiculous. Absolutely impeccable sound design that kept me in the game, in the moment, and perpetually grossed out. Speaking of grossed out, the finishing moves that the Doom guy unleashes upon the demons when they're glowing orange is a big part of the game. They're called glory kills, right? And when you execute a glory kill successfully, which is very simple to do, you usually just pew pew, shoot a demon a couple of times. It knocks them into this state where you can initiate the glory kill, and the Doom guy just does something terribly gross. And I never got sick of them. They were so good and varied. You can change it up by what angle you're coming down on the demon, what direction you're hitting them from. It was just such a wide variety, and I would be shocked if there were under 50 animations, because while I saw some more than once, obviously. Oh, and the other thing that matters is the type of demon that you're attacking. The animations are different for each demon. I saw duplicates, of course, but by the end of the game, I was still seeing new ones. Wrapping into mission select, I was still seeing new ones. So I know for a fact I hadn't seen all of them, and they're just so much fun and gross. They're a mixture of fun and gross that I think Doom fans everywhere appreciate. Another surprisingly good note about Doom 2016 is the voice acting. It was very, very good. I think we're at a point in the gaming industry where we expect good voice acting. That was definitely not the case as I was growing up, and it has consistently gotten better as we sit now. The highlights were definitely Darren DePaul as Samuel Hayden and Abby Craden as Olivia Pierce. They had the most voice lines, so naturally they were the best. The Doom guy pretty much just made grunts and punching noises, and we unfortunately don't have a voice for him. But luckily we had Samuel Hayden and Olivia Pierce there to assault our ears. I'm not sure who did the voices of the deep demons in hell, the one that foretold all of the prophecies, but wherever he is, I hope he's having a great day, and I hope he's not sacrificing any goats, because he was very, very convincing. If we look at 2016 as a year, it was a pretty fucking good year for games. We had Overwatch release, we had Dark Souls 3, which is one of my personal favorites ever. We also had Titanfall 2, and we had Inside and Firewatch in terms of indie games. So it was a very strong year, and I think Doom fits right into that pedigree. And there aren't many games that I played from 2016 that I like more than Doom. I definitely would say I like Dark Souls 3 more, and Overwatch is questionable. I've loved Overwatch in a lot of ways, but I also hate Overwatch in potentially even more ways. So I would definitely say, without putting a total list together, I would say Doom is easily in my top 5 games looking back into 2016, because I really don't think Nintendo did much of anything. Okay, well, no, Pokemon Sun and Moon came out in 2016. Paper Mario Color Splash, not a fan. Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess. Okay, so Twilight Princess is pretty darn good. Star Fox game that came out that year sucked. Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, that sucked. So I never played Pokemon Sun and Moon. I don't know if it's good or not. If you liked it, great. If not, I don't care. So yeah, I can still safely say that Doom is definitely a top 5 game for me from 2016. Uncharted 4 also released in 2016, which I personally never played. I'm actually playing through the first Uncharted right now, and I'm going to be reviewing that soon. So look forward to that. In conclusion, Doom 2016 was an awesome game that beat up my expectations, and it has me insanely excited to play Doom Eternal, which of course, as you know, released this year. I have it in my possession, and I will be playing it very soon. Doubtful I'll play it for my channel, but I do plan on doing a review for it similar to this one. That is all I have for you, good viewer. I hope you enjoyed this review. It's my first review that I'm releasing on this channel, the first of hopefully many. I have a little list made up. Little list, and Kyle is making me thumbnails because Kyle is the man. Hi Kyle, I hope you watch this. If you don't, fuck you. We are at the point in the video where I can say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. This is the part of the video where I might tell you who to like and who to subscribe to, but I'm not in the business of telling people what to do. However, if you found your time with me valuable today, please do throw me a like, subscription, and follow me on Twitter. Please do all of those things as it helps me beat the game that is YouTube. Also, if you have any games that you want me to review, leave me a comment or hang out with me on Twitter. Let me know. I'd love to do it. I'd love to find any excuse to play a video game. All that being said, thanks again. We will see you next time, and have a good rest of your night. Bye-bye.